Daniel Bircher there. We're just going to return to our top story now on the Sharm el Sheikh security concerns. Jim Termini's joined me. Jim is a former Airbus A321 pilot, the same type of plane, Jim, that exploded the Russian airliner. Look, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out perhaps why they're separating people from their luggage. Is that a security measure that can do the trick if they do have concerns about bombs on board?
It's certainly a very big part of it. Looking at the damage to the aeroplane, looking at the publicly available imagery that's being presented, it looks very much like a reasonable-sized IED, I would say, from the blast damage that we can see, which would indicate either cargo, hold baggage, or perhaps in-flight supplies.
But none of this is confirmed yet. Investigators still have to determine if it was a bomb on board. But we've seen a reaction to intelligence today, haven't we? And you think it's pointing in that direction?
Yeah, for me, the only missing smoking gun at the moment is explosive residue, really. I think once explosive residue is confirmed or denied, that will answer many of the questions.
But the black box tell us much?
The black box will give a lot of information. It will give the noise of the explosion. It will indicate how the aircraft reacted to the explosion in terms of pressurization, speed, altitude, and a whole range of other parameters.
OK, if we are looking at terrorism and we are looking at tourism once again being targeted in a horrible, violent way, how safe can we be as passengers on aeroplanes flying to holiday resorts?
We're safe anywhere as a security that's applied to the airport and to the aircraft. If we consider the aircraft to be the focal point of any type of intended attack against aviation, the more we can protect the aircraft itself, the easier it is. But having said that, there are so many routes to get something on board an aircraft if you want. It's very difficult to defend completely. And as you've said, almost impossible to defend to 100%.
I mean, we can separate passengers from luggage. That could be a security measure that continues for some time, but that's going to cost, isn't it?
It is. And the inconvenience factor as well is not nice either. I think the reason for the separation would be that we want to pay particular attention to the whole baggage. We'll subject it to a battery of tests, much more than is mandatory at the moment, and then that way we can be sure that when that whole baggage is loaded onto the aircraft, it is free from an explosive device. OK, let's just speculate an absolute worst-case scenario that an explosive device can still be taken on an Airbus A321 in hand luggage or on a person's body. Let's not forget we've seen things like the shoe bomber, haven't we? How much explosive really could you get on your body or in a small piece of hand luggage that could do enough damage to bring a plane down? What does it take? Not a lot, to be honest.
Right.
And the limits of detection are such that we know what the parameters are that the equipment will detect. So actually, even in this modern day and age, in some cases, the best application is just a good old-fashioned body search.
Yeah, and security on the ground, really.
Exactly that. And a great example of that was the underpants bomber, who had clearly looked at how he wanted to get his device on board the aeroplane, and he clearly knew how to defeat the technology that we had in place, both in Africa and in Europe, and he just put it somewhere where it was unlikely to be detected, and the technology wasn't there to detect it.
Testing times for aviation and airport security. Jim, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us.
Thank you.
Much more